Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to Jim Sports Cards. I'm Jim, so let's talk about some sports cards. What I'm going to be going over in today's video is after the price increases of PSA last week, many people came to me with hundreds of questions about, PSA is now more expensive. They've doubled their prices. Is it still worth going through PSA? Should I go through BGS? Should I use someone else? What's your opinion? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. In this video today, I'm going to take you through exactly what I think the price rises for PSA mean for the market, how I think the market's going to look, and how people are going to react. On top of that, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do about it, because at the end of the day, one thing I always operate on is 100% transparency. I'm never going to do something and not tell you the same thing. I'm never going to tell you to do something and not do it myself. So speaking of that, let's get into it. Let's do it. So if you haven't heard, or you've been under a grading rock for the past week or so, probably 2 weeks now with the rumours still starting, PSA doubled their prices. There's no exaggeration. There's no if, buts or maybes. I deal in absolutes, if you get the reference. They doubled their prices across the board. Every single submission level became twice the price. A lot of people, and I know a lot of collectors that are very upset about this, that wanted to submit with us last time and now it's going to cost them double to do so. I've had a lot of questions in the DMs asking me what's going to happen. Do we think prices are going to come down? Blah, 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 blah. The clear answer is prices are never changing. They're staying this way for the foreseeable future. That's how the market is. Why have PSA increased their prices? It's unfortunately for the consumer, it's basic economics. Demand goes up. The supply stays the same because PSA can't increase their output quick enough. Therefore, prices go up to try and price people out of grading. Now, pricing people out of grading is good in one of two ways. The good thing is we will hopefully see people who used to grade, and you see this a lot more common in the US where grading is much more established. People would send in everything. I've seen, when you trawl through eBay, I've seen some absolute trash base cards, B graded, PSA 10, that quite frankly, the cards are worth no more than £5. Because people saw it as, take any card, grade it, flip it for money, easy profit. And that's not going to be the case anymore. That's not going to be possible, because now, the way I see it with the PSA price increases, you've got two options. One for investing short-term and mid-term, and one for long-term investing slash for your own personal collection, where the declared value is applicable. So if you're going to grade your cards for your PC, the easy way to do it, put it in the value. Let's be real, everyone's like, I don't want to wait 9 months. If it's a PC card, for example, this Fred VanVleet card that I've got here, it's a beautiful card. Let's have a look at it. It's numbered to 25. You can't really see it. It's a Mojo. There we go. Beautiful card, right? It's in my PC. I'm never selling that. It's a beautiful card. I have no need to sell it. What's the difference between me having it sat here for 9 months or having it sat at PSA for 9 months? I'm in 3 years' time, odds are I'm still going to own this card whether it's graded or not, because it's in my personal collection and I really love that card. So what's the difference in whether it's here or there? People are always going to complain about wait times, and quite rightly so. No one should wait that long. But this is the situation we're in. PSA is a leader for a reason, and when you slab a card, it's virtually permanent. You can't get out of it unless you decide to crack it yourself, which is a huge risk, and I don't advertise doing that at all. So it's a long-term decision, and even though PSA prices rises and their wait times are longer, in my opinion, they're still the best to go through because it's a permanent decision. A lot of other people have come to me and said, what about BGS or SGC? And PSA isn't the best for everyone for every card. And I've told them, I'm not going to tell you something that I wouldn't do myself. If wait times are your main concern, I can give you a contact who grades through SGC who can help you there. If you don't think that the declared value system that PSA uses is fair, I'll give you a contact to go through BGS because they don't have a declared value system and you can grade any card at any rate. I'm going to be completely transparent. And the reason I do that is because I truly believe that PSA is still the best in the market. One of the reasons I think that is the way the market is going to turn in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. The market at the moment I think it's fair to say, baffles me in some senses. It's very clear when you submit a card. Oh, you submit a raw card, it gets a PSA 10, stonks. You get a PSA 10, card value rockets, you've got yourself a gem mint on your hands, happy days, everyone's happy, it's the best case scenario. But what happens when it gets a 9, or maybe an 8? What should that look like? One interesting thing I have now is that before the entire thing boomed, everyone was grading cards cheaply. Everyone that was grading cards. It was, compared to the value of the card, it was cheap, it was quicker than it is now, and flipping profits was easy. Flip, make money, grade more, make more money, easy. Now people can't do that. If you see someone emerging, like the Brooklyn Nets rookie, Nicholas Claxton. The Nets are one of the favourites. He came back from a knee injury. He started playing well. His cards are shooting through the roof. But what about his graded cards? If you've got some Nick Claxton raw that you're just sitting on because you opened a few packs or you got the Nets in a break, how are you going to grade them? He's not worthy of spending £100 to grade it to get it back in 3 months by the time the Nets will be probably in the later stages of the playoffs. But if you go and grade it and you wait 9 months, the hype could completely die down, and in 9 months' time, he might have lost form, he might have been traded. So what the hell are you going to do? It makes the impulse to grade cards and get that instant value yourself much harder, and instead people are going to trade what's already on the market. So now, one thing we're seeing, and one thing I'm going to go into a bit more depth of, is the difference between a raw card, a PSA 9 and a PSA 8, and how I expect that to change. Because all of this is gearing to is, yes, PSA has become more expensive. However, I think the graded card market will only reflect that. Less cards are going to be graded. More people take into account the fact that it's more expensive now to grade a card. Therefore, you're not just paying for the card, you're paying for the card realizing, oh, it probably cost around 80, 90, 100, up to £150 to be graded. You have to take that into account now. So let me show you what I'm talking about in actual terms of data and players. So what I'm going to take you through here is looking at a few different players, top of their draft class, 1, 2, 3, in the last 4 years, and seeing what's happening between their PSA 9, their PSA 8, and their base prices, where I think the market's going and where I think the real players when it comes to long-term investing. I have to preface this. I am not a financial advisor. I am simply a man who is stupid enough to buy a microphone and a webcam and talk to people on YouTube. Do not take my advice as golden. I might be wrong. This is just my opinion. That's it. So, after that, looking at the economics of what's happening at the moment, we're seeing a Zion Williamson here. Let's have a look at his Prism base card. So as we can see, where's the first base for Prism? We can see here, 240 Canadian, about $205. $177, 212, 227. So around the 210 mark for a base raw Zion at the moment is a fair price. This was the last Prism product that came out. People are still opening it now. I say that, people should. They're probably not because the box prices are through the roof because of cards like this. But this is the most recent card. Now, taking into account what we now know about grading, this card, because of the declared value, has to at least go into our Express, which is almost £80. So knowing that, which is £80 is over $100 to grade it. Knowing that, PSA 9 is $10 more. You seeing what I'm saying? A PSA 10, a PSA 9, same price. Roughly the same price. Split that in half and take the exchange rate, roughly the same price, $215. Let's just double check that we're not looking at that. $220 US for a PSA 9 rookie base. Raw's 212. Raw's 227. Something's going to change there. You cannot spend almost £100, £80 minimum to grade this card in the future, and it comes back a 9 and you've lost money. Not just on your investment, because that can go up or down if the player does well or not, and that's with any card ever with grading. But just by sending it to grading If you don't get a 10, you're losing money. Now we look at the PSA 8, $150. You have absolutely lost money and some, because if you're buying raw for $220, you've lost $70 plus the cost is taking you to grade it, which at the moment is around £80 because of the value of this card. Let's see if this carries on throughout the years and what happens. We're looking at Trae Young's cards now. Trae Young's base, anywhere between $90 to $100. Let's call it 90 because 86, 83, 98, 60, 60. I'm guessing $60 is too cheap for that card. I'm guessing that probably has some defects. 71, 89. Let's call it 90. Look at his PSA 9. It's 103, 100, 120. So it is slightly more than the raw card. You are still losing money if you grade this card today and it comes back a 9. Because of the cost of grading, you are losing money. Not as much money as the Zion, but you're still losing money. PSA 8, $110, 150 Canadian, 110. You're making less than the PSA 9. You're making a little bit, not much. But look, 130, 130, 117. Call it 115 for argument's sake. The PSA 9 is not selling for that much more. 137 is probably a fair estimation. 130, 145. So you see a trend appearing here. The newer the card... What am I trying to say here? The newer the card, the closer the PSA 9 is to the base price. So let's go back one more year. We'll look at Jason Tatum from the 2017-18 class. Should be Anunoby, but, you know, I'm not going to cry. PSA 9. We're not looking at PSA 9, we're looking at base. 175, 160, roughly $160, 150 is the going rate for a Jason Tatum Prism rookie card. If we now go and look at his PSA 9, well, we can see it at the top of the screen actually. 172, 180. So 170, 180, and raw, you're looking at 160. You're still losing money by grading this card if it gets a 9. A PSA 8, 125. The market at the moment, the way it is absurd. There is no way for these three cards, which are arguably the top two, in the top two of each of their draft classes. I chose Trae instead of Luka because Luka's a special case and that's not really fair. All of these cards, if you grade them and they come back a 9, overall, if your investment stays the same and the raw card stays the same, you are losing money. So now, we'll go on to Pascal Siakam. This is more fun, just going further back. Raw card, $23, $27, call it $25. PSA 9 goes up to 50 of the raw, 70 of the raw, 60, so call it 65. PSA 8, can we find one? Is there a PSA 8 anywhere? 36. Same thing. The one trend we're seeing throughout these cards is that the older they get, the less you lose if it gets a 9. So why have I shown you all of this and why have I shown you all of these players? Because quite frankly, right now, if I'm a collector, which I am, I'm worried. I'm thinking, if I don't get a 10, I've lost my money. This is me telling you not to be worried, because this market will change in the future. There is no way that with the new PSA prices, the new PSA wait times, that this market stays the same. 10s will always be 10s, and I'm not going to talk about them because what is there to talk about? 10s are worth way more than the raw, 10s are the peak, 10s is what everyone's looking for. But when it comes to the 9s and the 8s, what this market is currently at the moment is you're saying if you get a 9, you've lost. If there's a little bit of centering off, if your edges aren't perfect, you've lost money overall. Sure, your card is now worth more, but take into account the cost you've had to grade the card now, you've lost money. So this is where I think the market is heading. The gap is going to be stretched. Whether that's the PSA 10 stretches out and it drags the 9 and the 8 along with it, or whether that's the 9 just moves out and the 10 stays the same. PSA 9s are going to increase in price. There is no two ways about it. There is no getting around it. There's no avoiding it. There is no way that you can tell me that in 6 to 12 months' time, we're going to get our subs back from our base submissions. So 6 to 9 months' time. And if I get back 9s, that I've lost money. That is not going to be the case. And if I'm wrong, I will make a video in 9 months' time, title it saying I was wrong. But logically, there's no way this market can continue the way it is. Otherwise, nobody would grade anything. Because if you don't get a 10, you've lost. And that's not the way the graded market works. The further and further you go back, like we saw with the Trey, then the Tatum, then the Siakam, if you go all the way back to 2015-16 with Devin Booker, Kristaps, Cat, etc., the gap gets even bigger. If you get a 9, you've probably made money, and it gets better and better. And that's going to be coming in the more recent years. Because what we're going to see at the moment is people don't want to buy a 9 of a Zion at the moment. They'd rather buy a Raw and gamble getting a 10 because the price of a 10 is so high. The 9s just aren't going to be priced that way anymore. The 9s won't be priced the same because A, cards get older and this is just going to repeat every single year. But B, the cost of grading is too high now. There's no way that you'll see a Zion PSA 9 be worth the same as the base price in a year's time. Not a chance. It's crazy that that's the way at the moment because a 9 is still a very good grade. It is still in mint condition. There is one thing or maybe 2 very minor things that are off. It might be slightly off center. You might have a surface scratch, something like that. The card is still very aesthetically pleasing, yet it's worth the same as a raw card. So all hope is not lost. Do not be panicked by what's going on at the moment because I'm still grading all of my cards. We're going to have another submission video at the end of this month where I'm going to show you all the cards I'm grading again because this hasn't deterred me. To me, PSA is using its brand strength and leverage to inject value into the market. It's not why they're doing it. Quite frankly, they're doing it to line their own pockets because they know they can. Whether I agree with that or not, another story for another day. But by this happening, the pool of PSA is too strong for consumers to move away. Some will. Some will go to BGS, some will go to SGC. But the brand that PSA has built and the trust it's built over years and years, when you want to choose what slab your card's going to be in for the next 50 years, 9 times out of 10 people are still going to choose PSA. Probably not 9 times, maybe 7 times out of 10. But still, 7 times out of 10 is a crazy amount. And there's no way that these 9s don't increase in price because of what's happened with the market. PSA increasing their prices is only going to drive value into the market because they see, oh, a PSA 9 is still very good. You take into account now how much it costs to get a PSA 9, which is ridiculous. And you'll see the market grow. So do not be worried about grading your cards at PSA. The market is only going to go up. I'm not saying this because I have a vested interest because I grade with PSA. If I really thought that, I would pivot and I would change my business to SGC or BGS. I'm a collector the same as you guys, and I say this every single video I make. You see the cards that I'm submitting to PSA. You see that I don't have currently any BGS or SGC cards in my collection. Will that change in the future? Probably, because the other companies do have their benefits. But right now, I'm going to keep going with PSA because I think that's the best way to protect my cards and for the value long term. So don't be panicked. The market will rise, the market will change, and the graded card market will grow for the better. I think I've covered everything I wanted to. Long story short, right now buy PSA 9s that are close to raw prices, sit on them, wait for the market to stretch out. Those PSA 9s are going to be worth money in a year or 2 times. That's my opinion. That's what I've been doing. I've been buying as many 9s as I can. Completely transparent. Anyway, let's get your cards in to get submitted this month. Any questions, drop them in the YouTube comments, drop them in Instagram, find us on Facebook. All the links are in the normal places below. Also, check out our new website, gymsportscards.co.uk. You'll find in the link. All of our information is in there. You can pay for your subs in there. Lots of FAQs, lots of testimonials, lots of great stuff on the website. Any feedback to that as well, just pop it in the comments below. I've been Jim, and this has been Jim Sports Cards. Take care.